While next year's draft is still 11 months away, it is never too early to get familiar with the prospects who will be declaring next year. While everyone else is talking about the QBs, I want to dive into the guys who will be protecting those quarterbacks. This goes for all prospects this early, but I want to stress that with all these prospects, they're at least a year out from declaring, so they have at least a year to improve on these weaknesses. I would be astonished if my rankings are the same next April, but I wanted to take an early look at next year's tackle class to see what it might have in store. With that being said, my number one tackle is Spencer Fano. While Fano comes in with a first round grade, it's more of a projection. If he declared for last year's draft, he would have a second round grade, much like the rest of this class. What gives him a summer first round projected grade is that with his movement profile and how much room he has to fill out his frame, I would bet on him improving the most. As a run blocker, he's more than ready for the NFL and worthy of a first round pick. His get-off in the run game is fantastic, and he can get a lot of movement despite his smaller frame. He doesn't have to improve his run blocking too much to be worth a first-round pick. As a pass protector, he's all over the map though. To start with the good, he does have elite pocket range. He can get depth to protect against speedy rushers, and he also does a fantastic job of picking up stunts and has some of the best awareness of any of the offensive linemen in this class. Technically, he has a lot to improve on though. He would miss with his hands a lot and didn't have elite latch-on strength like some of the tackles we'll talk about later. I don't get too attached to pro comps, especially for offensive linemen, and especially this early in the process, but Fano reminded me a ton of a more advanced Charles Grant, but played against better competition and still has eligibility to develop. All of this is to say that he is more raw than some of the prospects that I'll be mentioning later, at least as a pass protector, which I do value more, but he is the only tackle who's already either a fully polished run blocker or pass protector, and he has all the athletic tools to be an elite prospect if he can just add functional strength and get better with his hands. My tackle 2 is Spencer Fano's teammate, Caleb Lomu, also from Utah. Lomu and Fano are similar in many ways, but vastly different in some. Lomu is 6'5", 295, and while he does look bigger than that, he absolutely plays like he's sub 300. Lomu looks bigger than Fano, but he has significantly worse play strength, which is already something that Fano struggles with. Lomu is a fantastic mover, displayed both with his pocket range and getting off the ball as a run blocker, but similar to Fano, he has a lot of room to get stronger and fill out his athletic profile. As a pass protector, he has great hand technique. He can occasionally be a little bit late with his hands, but he still has time to improve on that. I wouldn't be so worried about his occasional late hand placement if he had better latch strength. He struggles with his anchor technique and does not have the strength to anchor well either. He can get put on his ass by bull rushers. His feet are good, and with another year of development, I have no worry about them. He has elite pocket range to handle speedier rushers, and he also does well at picking up stunts like Fano. If he adds functional strength, this is a day one plug-and-play pass protector. While Lomu's calling card is his pass protection, he's also a solid run blocker with fantastic get-off. He is nowhere as technically sound as Fano in the run game, but he has all of the tools to be potentially just as good. Lomu is a difficult and simple early eval. If he gets stronger and can anchor better, he'll be a first rounder. If not, he won't. He has the frame to add a ton of functional strength, and he has the movement profile of a tight end. His hands were very advanced for a redshirt freshman, and again, I don't love pro comps, but this did remind me of Marcus Bowe from this year's draft. Since he was only a freshman last year, there is a world where Lomu doesn't declare this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't ready. I would be surprised if by the next two classes or whenever Lomu comes out that he's not a first round pick. I think that highly of his upside. My number 3 tackle is Francis Mauigoa. I'm lower on Mauigoa than consensus, but I really do see why everyone likes him, and with a year of improvement, I can be right there with the crowd. Mauigoa frustrates me though, because in every category, he is kind of guy. Sort of a version of a jack of all trades and a master of none. Although at this point, he's more so of a jack of some trades and master of none. If he puts it all together, he absolutely has the upside to be tackle 1. Pass protection is where you really feel like Mauigoa is sometimes guy. He has really strong hands and advanced technique when everything goes right, but he has to improve his punch timing and accuracy. While I don't have measurements, Mauigoa looks like he has long arms, although his inconsistent punch timing would suggest differently. His feet for the most part are good, but I do wonder if he has the pocket range to handle speedier rushers like my top 2 tackles in this class. Mauigoa is naturally super strong and anchors against bull rushes pretty well. As a run blocker is when you see Mauigoa's athleticism shine. His get-off is fantastic and he effortlessly sifts to the second level. He can struggle to maintain blocks, but I was impressed with his run blocking. As an athlete, I also get frustrated with Mauigoa. He will probably test well, and he moves great when moving forward. However, his lateral mobility is not ideal for a tackle. He also loses balance quite often, which is both a technical failure and an athletic woe. I believe that Mauigoa has a place in this league and will be a first-round pick. A lot of his issues would actually be fixed with a move to guard, similar to Will Campbell from last year, and I promise that's the last time I will give a pro comp, but I liked Campbell a lot as a guard prospect, and I do think he could still be a good tackle. I would love to see Maui Goa develop these issues and become a rock star tackle 1, but as of now, these issues do leave me in between a late first and an early second round grade at tackle, or a potentially all-pro grade at guard. I can understand anybody ordering those top 3 tackles in any way. That's kind of the order that I'm going to go with for now, but I would kind of view that as one tier, and I think it's very important to figure it out that way. While the top 3 tackles all have smooth paths to being tackle 1 on my board come next April, the current consensus top tackle seems to have a harder path. You've probably been wondering where Caden Proctor fits in on this list, and here he is. Proctor is an absolutely massive tackle with good arm length and solid lateral movement for a bigger guy. When I saw his profile, I was naturally intrigued because I love seeing bigger tackles be able to move the way I was told he could. Unfortunately, that profile is a little bit of a facade. As a pass protector, Proctor plays with super strong hands. Once he gets his hands on you, the rep is pretty much over. Unfortunately, Proctor struggled with his hand accuracy. His technique was solid as he displayed a good snatch trap technique, which will help him. His feet were all over the place though. There was a play against Wisconsin where he crossed his feet up trying to pick up a stunt, and he really looked like a lumbering big guy who was trying to play like a 310-pound tackle, which is going to be an issue that I will mention for him later. One way we're trying to play like a 310-pound tackle does help you though, is that I was surprised at how good Proctor's pocket range was for such a big guy, which is always intriguing. For a bigger guy, I really was disappointed with his anchor though, and he was inconsistent with it and would oftentimes allow smaller rushers to push him into mill row. As a run blocker, Proctor is hit and miss again. In a phone booth, he's fantastic, utilizing his elite strength to bully defenders. When asked to move, his lumbering size is apparent, and he can't get into proper position to execute his blocks. His athleticism is also called into question as he doesn't have great get-off in the run game, and when he's on the move, he will also struggle to stay balanced. Proctor is super strong, and that shows up a ton in his tape, but he also sometimes tries to play like a 310-pound tackle, which hurts his ability. He has solid movement for a 370-pounder, but that's just it. His movement as a tackle is below average, and he loses balance consistently. I want to see Proctor go down to 340 pounds, maybe even lighter, with a tightened anchor and improved balance. While all of this is possible, shedding weight and improving your anchor do often go against one another, so I would be surprised if he's able to do both at the same time. If he can accomplish that, he will be back in the discussion for tackle 1 for me, but we'll have to see. At number 5, I have Caleb Tiernan out of Northwestern, although he is essentially tied with Proctor for tackle 4. If I wanted to be a little bit hot takey, I would say that Tiernan right now does look better, but we will get into that. Tiernan's not like the other Northwestern tackles that we've come to know, like Rashawn Slater and Peter Skoronski. Tiernan is much bigger at 6'7", 330 pounds, and although his arm length is probably not elite or anything, he will very likely pass the threshold to play tackle. As an athlete, Tiernan is similar to Maui Goa in that he's a good athlete when moving forward and he's very strong, but his lateral movement and overall balance are just not that good. Tiernan shines with his really advanced hand usage as a prospect, although he is the oldest prospect on this list, which is why he's not higher than Proctor or any of the other guys. Similar to the rest of the class, he has to get more accurate with his hands, but once he lands his punch, the rep is over. Tiernan can be a little bit slow in his kick step, but he does have adequate enough range and plays with a wide base, so I'm not too worried about that. He's strong across the board, and that is apparent in his anchor. He can play high, but if he can just lower his pad level, he will be an elite pass protector out of the box. Tiernan is a mixed bag in the run game, though. He can get good movement in a phone booth due to his natural strength and plus get off in the run game, but he plays with such poor pad level in the run game that he'll often lose balance. While he's by no means a poor run blocker and has the potential to be a great run blocker, he has to fix his pad level if he wants to be. Tiernan is somewhat of a my guy early in the process. He's consistently towards the bottom or even off top 100 list, but he would definitely be around my top 50 once my full board is set. While he is older and should be expected to be more technically refined than some of the sophomores and redshirt freshmen that I was talking about on this list, his pass protection is so smooth and he is a plus run blocker and a solid athlete that I really can't put him any lower. While he must improve his pad level if he wants to be a first round pick for me, I believe that's a fixable trait and he can jump right into the first round. While this list was supposed to be a top 5, I was actually pleasantly surprised when I watched Austin Barber's, so I did want to talk about it. Before I watch every player, I try and get their basic profile down, so I can see their height, their weight, all that. And after looking through Barber's basic profile, I almost passed up on him But since he was 34 on consensus boards, I decided I had to watch him. While he's by no means a perfect prospect, there are intriguing traits that explain why many people have him as a first-round tackle. As a pass protector, Barbers needs to improve his pad level. He would often be lunging, and that would lead to him missing with his hands. He does employ a 1-2 punch technique to halt rushers at the point of attack. His feet are disappointing, and if threatened, he can get beat by both power rushers and speed rushers. As a run blocker, though, he has natural get-off and gets movement. He's very quick and is an elite reach blocker. Barbers is probably the second best run blocker that I've mentioned here, just behind Spencer Fano. Barbers is a fantastic athlete with long arms, and if he can improve his pass protection and stay more balanced in his kick step, he could be a solid tackle for any scheme. That's going to be my top 6, but there are some other guys that I wanted to talk about who I either didn't get to watch or did watch, and didn't think that they could be potential first-round picks. The one exception to that is Isaiah World, who unfortunately I don't have any Nevada All-22 right now, so I was not able to get his tape. But this is a guy that should have been on the list, and I look forward to his development, and I would not be surprised if he is a first-rounder. And honestly, just based on his profile and what I've heard about him, I expect that I would have loved him. The other guy to note is Jennings Dunker. Dunker's a mauling run blocker, but he had under 100 true pass sets, so his pass pro tape is really raw. If he can develop his pass pro, he could go in the first round, but for now, he's a guy that's best suited for wide zone schemes that will get him on the move and limit his true pass sets, and take advantage of his run blocking. Blake Miller's an intriguing athlete with a solid foundation as a run blocker, but he basically needs to revamp his entire pass protection because he's not just raw like Dunker, he's just bad. That is going to do it for my top tackles for the 2026 NFL Draft. Thank you guys all for watching.